Welcome, Jack Eberenz. So nice to have you on the show. Let me take a moment to introduce you. Jack Eberenz is someone pretty special in big resume, but even bigger human being. This is somebody who has touched a lot of lives, not just provided value in terms of business to people's lives. At times in my life, he's even mentored me through various ventures. Jack has a slogan, if you say franchise, Jack. Jack is one of the top international franchise consultants in the world. He's also chairman of the board of a national franchisor, Precision Door. Prior to that, Jack had worked in a number of different things all around business operations, efficiency, accountability. Jack, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. Let me start with one question for you. Jack, you've seen it all. You've been around the block. There haven't been too many things that people have thrown your way that you haven't seen. What excites you every day when you wake up, knowing that you've seen all this stuff? You've consulted with hundreds of franchisees and franchisors all over the world. What excites you?
The biggest thing that excites me always is the opportunity to help companies grow and be more successful. I just like that. I just enjoy doing that type of thing. It's part of what I do. I oftentimes advise people not to go into franchising or not to go into licensing. In fact, I probably do that more than I do, hey, let me help you get it done. Yeah.
Yes, by the way, that is true. I know Jack for years, and that is an absolute truth.
And what I do is, there's so many things that are important in business, but that's what excites me. Franchising is one way. Franchising and licensing are really, they're related. Every franchise is a license. So it is the way I look at it, and it's just a fun thing to do.
So that's fun to you, like some people like to go hiking, some like to play tennis, some like, to go to a football game. Jack likes franchising. I can vouch for that. He really likes it. He's dedicated so much of his life to it. So Jack, let's back up for a second. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit, if I was to ask you the question, Jack, tell me your story. So Jack, why don't you just talk for about 3 minutes? Tell us the backstory.
Okay, well, I came out of a small town upstate New York, went to Syracuse University Business School. Did a couple of things and happened to end up back in Corning, New York, the family business by whatever reason. Went through a disaster with them in '72, tried to take over the company, get the rest of the family out. They didn't want to leave, so I left. Came to Arizona, bought a franchise. Probably the worst franchisor in the history of franchising.
Oh, God.
At any rate, within 3 years, I had the biggest franchise in the whole system. They came to me and asked me if I would become president of the franchisor. So I sold my franchise and became president of the franchisor.
And this was when?
Well, this was about, when I sold that. I took over that at about 1981. And, the year later, they sold the company to another organization after I'd grown it a little bit. Well, actually, I tripled the size of it. And so then I moved to, I had to do something. They sold the company. And after about 2 weeks, somebody called me up and said, hey, could you build me a company like that? In a totally different industry, but that's when I became a consultant. Next thing I knew, I had 3 or 4 clients. And then in the middle of about 1985, I met a young fellow here in town, just out of Stanford, who was taking over his father's real estate business, a little business called Realty Executives.
A little business called Realty Executives. Well, back then it was, right?
Well, then they were a big player in the Phoenix market, and that was it. They had 9 franchisees, they said, actually in a number of states. And actually they had 8 because they had one guy that was not legitimate. And, we took them over a period of time to 900 franchisees in 18 countries.
And that you did that during what period of time?
That was from the early 80s, mid 80s, all the way through till 2000. And a little past that, yeah.
So you were, at that time, really weren't a consultant. You were immersed in the company.
No, I was a consultant. I had other clients.
Really? Wow. So you helped grow that from 9 to 900 and became international, and you were also serving other clients. Wow.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow. And so if I were to ask you how many, it's probably not a fair question, Jack, or knowing you probably know the answer. How many franchise clients have you represented over the years?
Boy, I don't really know. That's not the way I measure things, as to how many clients I've had. I look at more at the success that the clients have and what that means to me. It's just like with Precision Door. That's another company that called up the one day and said, we have a problem. I said, great. And they said, you remember us? And I said, yep, I kind of remember you guys. And they said, well, can you help us? I said, I solve problems. I guess so. And so, and that was the next words out of their mouth were, the FBI just left here. And so they had a real problem. And now we straightened that out very quickly. Learned they really hadn't done anything wrong yet. They were just about to do business with a guy who was going to do something wrong and who went to jail for 5 years for bank fraud.
Oh my God. So
they got warned and, we straightened them out. I'm still with them.
So when did you start with Precision?
About year 2000.
2000. So about 20 years. You're the chairman of the board. You consult with so many franchisees. If I was to ask you, Jack, let's pretend I'm a store owner. I own 5 locations. I own a pet grooming business. I'm making this up. What would be the first few questions you would ask me? I'm thinking of franchising. What do I need to know if you're going to help me? Where do I need to be in this business? What do I need to know?
The first thing we do is we do a down and dirty feasibility. If a franchisee was operating your business and that franchisee was paying you a royalty of, say, 5% of their gross income, how much money would the franchisee make? And if the franchisee was going to make a really nice living off of that, and you were still going to get 5% of their gross, now we've come over the first hurdle. The next hurdle is, what kind of a person are you? Are you the type of a person that can build a franchise company? A lot of people aren't. Franchisees consider themselves your partner. So you've got to, it's different than having employees. You can't just order them around. You have to find ways to make them want to participate with you and want to be a part of what you're doing. And then after a couple of years, when they learn the business, they become your best source of intelligence. That's where your new ideas come from. That's where your boots on the ground bring you more and more ideas and direction, and it makes you build this great company. Let's take a quick example. Not one of my clients, totally different. National articles have been written about Popeye's chicken. And Popeye's chicken got in big trouble. And they hired a new president. They brought her in from, I think it was Yum Brands or somebody like that. And she immediately redid the concept, and it was a total failure. And the franchisees came along and said, you don't know what you're doing. We're out here with the customers. We know what to do. So she put together a committee of the top franchisees. They redid the whole concept, and you can see the results of how they've grown since then.
Well, they sold recently.
Yeah.
2 years ago for like $1 billion or
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
over $1 billion.
But that was the franchisees. You see, it's just like a precision door. We come up, maybe we get to research something, we'll see an idea that looks great. Maybe a new software program or a new way that the franchisees can interact with their customers. We might bring it up, but we take it to the franchisees. The franchisees do a test run on it, and then they come back and tell us, yeah, this is good, we ought to try to do it, or no, we shouldn't do it. And we listen to them very carefully.
Interesting. So, the big lesson learned that I just got an answer from your question is you really rely on the people inside the system to make the system better.
That's right. Franchisees is vital.
Now,
it's much better to get rid of them than to have a bad one.
How long does it take? Let's say, Jack, I've got 5 stores. I got 5 locations. I've got money. I want to really get this thing going. How long would it take from the time we talk to the time we've actually officially created a franchise and realistically can start selling franchises?
How you look at it is, in my system, 3 to 6 months.
That's it?
That's it. We can have a system up, legal, ready to go. Depending on the system and how much we want to spend and where we go, in any place from 26 to 50 states. And because there's some states that have their own individual franchise regulations. But we can take care of all of that in about a 3 to 6 month period, have them out there and have them ready to sell franchises. Then you have to fill the franchise funnel of prospects that want to buy a franchise. So at that point, you go out, you start looking for franchisees, letting the world know you're there, do a little advertising, do the social media, do the things that need to be done to find franchisees. And then that pipeline usually takes, after the first, after you're ready to go, so you got 3 to 6 months, the pipeline, depending on the franchise, will have a sales cycle from 3 months to a year. So somebody will contact you and you will start the process there. And in 3 months, they're closed and sometimes open, but sometimes it takes some construction time before they're open. So once that's done and you start getting 2 or 3 or 4, then the momentum builds, people become more confident.
So I don't want to get too into the details because I like to keep these interviews short, but I also know the strength of a franchisor is also in the ability of the franchisees to be successful, not just to sell franchises. Because Absolutely. If you sell a ton and they all go out of business, you're not making money. So isn't there a lot of overhead cost to build the systems and the support for that? How long that you can build that out in 3 to 6 months, Jack?
Well, generally speaking, the clients that I work with, they've documented their business. They know how to run their business. All we have to do is put it in a format to teach other people. And so I say all, it's, but we can put all that, if they've got the time to devote, if they're willing to put in the time, the work, and do things, and then it's just a matter of.
And you obviously help them with that, or you'll bring in other consultants in certain areas.
I have a nationwide network of whatever we need of.
Right. So if they want a CRM or some technology, you help them build a base technology or whatever it is that they need.
Correct.
Interesting. So, so what is the minimum? Let's say I own 2 stores. What would you say are if I'm interested in franchising and I own a store, what do I have to get my business to? What level before I would have a conversation with you?
Well, I think you have to get it to the level that, as I mentioned before, that if you took 5% of your gross income out of it, you'd still be making a decent living off it. And if you can do that with your own stores, then we think we can teach other people to do the same thing. That's our objective. So 1 store, 2 stores. There are people that I recommend that they franchise at 1 store. Why would I do that? Well, very simple. They have an idea that is so unique. It is looks to me like such a wonderful opportunity that we can't wait for competition to come barreling by us. We've got to get out there and get a jump on it, be ready to sell franchises the day people find out we're there. And I prefer them to have, as you mentioned, 2 to 5 locations. Then we have a much better feel of how to write the manuals and how to do the other things. But sometimes we've got to just get to work and protect the brand and go for it. By the way, having a national trademark is extremely important. It's required.
Aren't there some scenarios, Jack, where some businesses, like you said, they can build multiple locations, but franchising is not the way to go?
That's correct. There's a couple reasons for that. One is, what's the management like? There's a lot of managers that are autocratic. That doesn't work in a franchise system. You have to have a manager that's collaborative. They're willing to build with the franchisees and help the franchisees become more successful rather than tell them what to do. So it's a different thought process a little bit. So that's one of the big things that we have to go into, is make sure that the people are the right type of people. And if they've got that, and we put that with the right amount of capital and the right business that's going, and if we've got all things like a nice trademark and things that are going to attract people, then we can run.
One last question for you, Jack. I'm interviewing you during a time of great uncertainty, and there's a lot of people that are being challenged. There's a lot of franchisors that are struggling. I mean, even I think you mentioned Precision Door is going through some challenges right now. What would you say to people now that might be in a good financial situation? What are some good reasons to start now, to call you today, even given the circumstances?
Well, one of the things that's going to happen, which always happens, if this is a blip and doesn't turn into a major recession, or even a major recession, when they come out of the recession, there's a lot of people that get displaced out of corporate life, and they have quite a bit of money, but they don't want to start their own business. They want to buy a franchise. So opportunity comes out of things like this, of displaced people that are saying, I don't want to be transferred all over the country anymore. I don't want to run. My kids are in high school and I want to be around them, whatever it is. And so there's opportunity there. So you might want to be ready for it when it comes, so that if people are looking for your type of business, you're ready to sell it to them.
Oh my God, that was a great answer. Thank you for that, Jack. So if somebody's interested in getting in touch with you, how do they get in touch with you, Jack?
Well, it's pretty easy to find me. I'm at franway.com, FRANWAY.com, jack@franway.com. That's my website, and that's my email, and that's the easiest way to get a hold of me.
Fantastic, Jack. I really appreciate you taking time. You are a gem. You are a wonderful person in my life. It is an honor to have you on my show, somebody of your caliber. And please know that Jack has also been a member of the Secret Sauce Society. Our mission is that it's good business to make a difference in the lives of those we do business with and seek business from. And Jack lives his life that way. Jack, thank you. Total pleasure. Anybody interested in franchising, call Jack. Thank you so much.
Thank you.